everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet. I'm about to be joined by Ken Wiebe from the Winnipeg Free Press. Together we are Kenny and Renny. This is the Kenny and Renny post-game show in which you're about to see Kenny sacrifice that southeastern Manitoba light-skinned pigment of his, all for your viewing pleasure and for your hockey breakdown pleasure. And a lot to break down in this one. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm going to be on a very different plane than a lot of the people out here. I'm going to be on the wrong side of this. This is maybe one of those ones people are going to be upset with Rennie's take. Or maybe some people have come around. And I mean, I don't know how many people out there think that was a great game. But let me just get out of the way. Yes, the Winnipeg Jets got goalied in this game. Yes, the Winnipeg Jets were the busier of the two teams when it came to shots and things like that. No, this was not a good performance by the Winnipeg Jets. And it was, I thought, kind of a pretty atrocious performance by the Buffalo Sabres in this game. Now, they come out on top. You want to call it timely scoring. You want to call it whatever it is. But I take a look at this game. The first two periods, I saw a Buffalo team that was disinterested in playing with the puck when they had it. It seemed like there wasn't a mistake they could make. And what I saw was a Winnipeg Jets team so far this season that has done such a good job of not playing down to its opponent, doing exactly that. Like the Jets, I thought, somewhat played in their structure, but it was very loose. It was very lax. It was almost lackadaisical. There wasn't a really strong push here. It was almost like the Jets were this to me is back to kind of the tortoise and the hare kind of attitude that we've seen, that I've seen from the Winnipeg Jets in the past, that they were going to do just enough in this game to get by. And hey, it came close. But I mean, anyone who's okay, remember the last time the Jets played the Buffalo Sabres? It's actually kind of strange. The Jets never seem to really have good games. It's always a tight one against the Buffalo Sabres. But I know that someone came at me after the show because I'd said that the Buffalo Sabres were not a good hockey team. And they took great exception to that. I don't know that I've heard much from them since. But the paragon of hockey excellence that the Buffalo Sabres were made out to be, to me, in those messages, has not turned out to be them. This to me was them, but it was even a poor version of them. And anyone who's thinking that the Jets, this is an example of that. Like Nick Ehlers' goal, picking up the puck in your end and skating it down untouched and being allowed to take a slap shot, without being challenged, without trying to get a stick in that lane and just blow it past your goaltender. That's not an example of a good NHL goal. It's great that he scores that goal, but it's a goal scored against a team that is entirely way off. If that happened and that was the Winnipeg Jets, if that was Logan Stanley, people would be up in arms. And then the Colin Miller goal, one move at the blue line, and then you skate directly down right straight into the goaltender, untouched to bury it. These are bad defensive breakdowns by the Buffalo Sabres that allow the Winnipeg Jets to get back in this game. This isn't the Jets doing the right things and getting there. Now, I've talked a lot about the hockey gods and the Winnipeg Jets and how much they like the Winnipeg Jets. And I'm going to get into this, and this will be the take that everyone hates out there because it's going to build on my Nick Ehlers take from the last game. But the one thing I've said about the Winnipeg Jets, the hockey gods love the Winnipeg Jets. The bounces go their way this year. It's like clockwork, and it happens on their first goal where it's redirected in by the skate of an opposition player. But I say this, at the time, taking the puck to the net, it's a driving play. No Frills Dino had said that this is a repeatable goal. I don't know how much it's a repeatable goal, but the idea of driving the puck to the net is the right thing in this situation. And good things happen. We say this, good things happen. Bounces go your way when they do that. So is it, the puck gods rewarding the Jets? Is it the hockey gods rewarding the Jets? I think it is. I think the Jets do a lot of things over and over again that are right, and that's why they're getting the bounces this year. And you've heard me talk about the hockey gods over and over and over again. And usually when I talk about it, it's in the Jets' favor because I feel they're earning the love of the hockey gods. You've heard me say that here before. I talked last show about the Nick Ehlers what I felt was a clear embellishment on that play. Was it a penalty by the Corey Perry of the Edmonton Oilers? You're darn right it was. People seem to be arguing with me after the show, not picking up on the fact that I said clearly it's a penalty on Corey Perry. He shouldn't have his stick there, but there's no need to embellish there. And so tonight, I think the hockey gods turned on the Winnipeg Jets at the end of this game, and they did so on a power play that was earned by the Winnipeg Jets when Mark Scheifele embellished a holding, or excuse me, an interference call. So I know some people are going to say, well, his stick was in the wrong spot and all this kind of stuff. Don't give me that, because the play doesn't even happen on the boards. It's not a holding call. It's an interference call in which Mark Scheifele grabs the opposing player's stick and falls backwards. This is the second time, I believe, and I got to say, like, I'm a really big fan of Kevin Sawyers, but I think he classified this as being a savvy veteran play or a veteran move or something like this. If there's one thing I've been consistent about on this show, and I think I've been consistent on a lot of things, but you can go back for the longest time in this show when I talk about these things, I do not like diving. I do not like when players are trying to sucker refs for calls. That happened in this situation, and it ends up in a shorthanded goal going the other way against the Winnipeg Jets. It ends up being the game winner off of a missed embellishment call. Now, you can say this, and a lot of people feel this way. Some people felt this way afterwards in the show after last time. They think it's a good thing for teams or for players to go out and try and get calls like this where they get the ref in a bad spot and they do this. I just think it's bad karma. I think karma bit the Jets in this game. Game-winning goal goes the opposite way on a penalty that was the Sabres were livid with, and they had every reason to be livid with it, because at the very least, even if you were trying to say that the Buffalo Sabres player should not have had his stick there, if that's a penalty, the embellishment call's got to go the other way in that situation. Bites the Jets in the butt on this one. That's my take on the whole thing. Time to bring in Ken with his take on the whole thing. Here comes Kenny, folks. For anyone out there who's mad about my opening, this should cheer you up. Bick Rona says, as I predicted back in January, the Jets have a 0% chance of winning the Central. Jets now on the verge of coughing up a 10-point lead in the next week or so we can cancel that banner order now. If to see how far Bick has to stretch to try and make a bad situation out of where the Winnipeg Jets find themselves is, I just don't pull a muscle, Bick. You got to get ready for the playoffs, and you're going to be on the IR with a dislocated shoulder if you keep reaching that far for this one here. Ken, good to see you. Fun in the sun. Like I said, the golf attire. Hey, if there's a golf section of Vittorio Rossi, you're going to have to get them suiting you up out there, because it seems like that's what you want to model most of the time. You and I are going to get back at it. I was not able to make it to the game because I was flying back from the Ottawa Senators, New Jersey Devils game from yesterday. Ken, still loving it down there, still loving life, and I would be too if I was getting the golf scores you are. Neither of us, though, suited up. We will be, though, and if you want to get ready like Ken and I are going to be on Tuesday, head on down to Vittorio Rossi on Corden Avenue. Loudly proclaim Kenny and Renny sent you when you walk in. Ask for Frankie and the boys. They will do you up right. Ken, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game for sure. The Jets, on one hand, dominated large parts of the game and had a clear edge in territorial play and high danger chances. But at the same time, I would also say that they were a little loose on the details again today. Not a ton. Like, it's not like they're allowing a bunch of 2-on-1 rushes or, zone time that leads to, cycle chances against, like they create against the opposition. But there were several things that would catch the attention and won't look overly good in the video on the next day. And one of those goals is the Alex Tuch goal on the shorthanded chance. Now, the Jets did do a good job of getting their second unit a goal. And as you mentioned, it took a fortuitous bounce off of a skate of Beck Mallenstrom in order for that Niederreiter goal to happen. But Niederreiter makes a smart play driving the net, is around the blue paint. So, he gets rewarded for that with a good bounce. What I didn't like was that the Jets you talked about lackadaisical, and I think that the top unit was a little bit lackadaisical. I mean, Mark Scheifele was trying to come back. He got tripped or fell down, whatever you want to call it. But I didn't like the way that the sort out happened with Josh Morrissey and Gabe Vilardi. Obviously, as soon as Morrissey makes the decision to go to the puck carrier, Vilardi's got to be hustling back and picking up. He's got to pick up Alex Tuch. There can't be a breakaway there. I mean, it's a tight game. That's just a little bit looseness on the details, and that is not something that we had seen a ton of from the Jets. Some people up in arms saying it wasn't a terrible effort by the Jets. 10-0 in high danger chances. They had the puck for the majority of the second period at times, but they give up a one-timer chance. It goes bar down, and they find themselves trailing 2-1. But we've seen that. I like that. Scott O'Neill was a little bit sour after the game. He was, Scott obviously has a connection to the Buffalo Sabres. He was a player there. He was assistant coach there. Lindy Ruff is someone he has a lot of respect for, but he doesn't like losing to Lindy Ruff. So, the fact that the Jets were, in a lot of aspects, the better team, but weren't able to, track 2 points on a game like that where they mostly played well, I think would have him a little bit down about the result. But I mean, at the same time, he wasn't going to get bent out of shape, Sean. To me, this was less concerning with the Vancouver game, and the Vancouver game was more concerning because of the number of mistakes that were happening and leading to a lot of goals. And sure, I mean, people are going to look up and say, "Oh, hey, this is what we were telling you about Eric Comrie. 4 goals on 16 or 17 shots or whatever it was." I mean, this was not an Eric Comrie struggled game for me. It's so interesting too, Sean. Right? So on the Peterka goal. What do we do? What have we been doing for the last few weeks? I mean, we've been praising the Jets for their ability to make subtle pick plays, specifically in overtime. Well, guess what? It happened against them. You can't on one hand say, "Oh, hey, we're great at pick plays," and then when somebody executes a subtle pick against you, say, "Oh, that can't happen."
Well, exactly.
Because, right? I mean, you can't have it both ways. You either want all of them called or you want none of them called.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think it's a good point, Ken, because I've said this before. I think the Jets ride that gray area of those pick plays better than anyone else in the league. But I mean, like in the Appleton case, like I'm sitting there and I know Tracy is there and she's upset, and there's a whole bunch of people who are going to talk about that. But he goes behind the player and the player doesn't see him coming. The feet go out from underneath it. Now, the characterization is that the player went down too hard. And so some people are going to be saying the embellishment thing goes this way. But like, you can't be looking at the body of work that the Winnipeg Jets have had for this entire year, where they've leaned on that pick play over and over and over again and probably got away with some they shouldn't, and be that upset in a game against one of the worst teams in the league that call goes against you, when it's, in a situation where the player skates in behind the player and that player doesn't see him coming. Like, to me, you're splitting hairs, and you're splitting that hair and then that hair and that hair and that hair again if you're trying to create a scenario by which this was the Jets getting jobbed by the refs in this situation. No, I mean, they're like, those calls vast majority of times go the Jets' way. It's only gone against them 4 or 5 times this entire season. Take it and run with it, folks.
Yeah, and the thing, I mean, it's unlucky for Appleton because he tries to go around. He tries to make the long way around so that there is no contact. But if someone runs into you when you're not expecting it, often you fall down. I mean, it's not embellishment for Tuch. I mean, he's trying to back off into the play so he can try to make a play at the blue line while short. Anyways, it's an unfortunate play, but it's not a blown call by the referee. I mean, this is the thing that bothers me. I mean, and I know where you're coming from on Scheifele, and I agree. I mean, he definitely held the stick for sure, but I think it's a smart play in the regard that the penalty is drawn. I agree with you. That's not something you want to be relying on because you're going to get a reputation for doing that. But I mean, people mad at the ref, Buffalo fans coming at. I use subtle for that. I use the word subtle describing Mark Scheifele grabbing the stick because his back was to the referee. The referee cannot see that he has the stick. Now, he fell down, and I agree that, it shouldn't be called if you have the benefit of replay. But if you don't see the replay, of course you're going to think that the guy hauled him down.
Let me just interject here, though. Pat Rathwell, who is a referee who spent a lot of time putting Renny in the box back in the 90s and early 2000s, has this to say, and he makes a good point here. On that penalty on 55, that back ref had no business making that call 100 feet from it without seeing the angle his partner had. I think what Pat is seeing on the ice there is he believes that the ref who could see this, who could see the play, knew it wasn't a penalty. The ref who couldn't is the one who called the penalty. So we're sitting there and I guess what Pat is saying is maybe it's not excusing the ref in this situation to make the call, because it's like, if you can't see it, then don't make the call, right?
For sure.
Anyways.
No, for sure. No, exactly. And again, like I said, I mean, people saying, I got lots of this in my DMs and timeline. I mean, this game is a great example of why the Jets will do nothing in the playoffs. This game means nothing towards the playoffs, outside of the fact that the Jets want to tighten up their details defensively, which is the same thing we've been saying all week long. Again, much like the 8-game winning streak meant nothing when the series started, this game means nothing. And the people saying that, this game is going to cost the Jets first place in the Central. No, if the Jets go on a terrible losing streak, that is what will cost them the Central. This afternoon game against Buffalo cost them nothing but the 2 points they left on the table. So this is wake up. This is just wake up territory as a general sense. It leaves the door open, sure, but the Jets have to fall flat on their face to not win the division, and so that just a blanket pristine roofing wake up call for all the people sending me notes saying that this loss today means the Jets will go nowhere and that will cost them the Central Division banner. That's just simply not true.
Yeah, I know. And of course, it's time to give the pristine roof and wake up call to North End Rick, because it's been called by Kenny. He's the guy you want down your place for all your roofing, siding, exterior needs. Get a hold of him at 204-981-6289. You can also call Pristine Roofing directly at 204-237-7663. If you want to call them directly, you want to do that, because if you give your home the Pristine Roofing wake-up call, you will be very, very glad that you did. I wanted to throw a couple of things out here. Might as well get, I think it's been triggered pretty early here, the hot take, because I want to get through this, because we did talk about that, and Pat gave a little bit of insight into the rest, but you'd made that point, and I'd make it 100 times, and we don't make it a habit. If you notice what I'm talking about in this show or the last show, someone pointed out that I was hard on Nick Ehlers for the fall. I was, because I am not an advocate of embellishing calls or diving. I think it burns you in the end. I think towards the end there on the empty net goal, Scheifele was upset that they didn't get a call. I don't understand how he could think he would get a call at that point of the game after they'd created a scenario by which he'd created a penalty where, to the point of Pat Rathwell, the other ref is going to go to the ref and be like, he was actually holding his stick and, whatever. Regardless, going after the refs, I think it's such a waste of analyzing a game, because every once in a while a ref will do something that will absolutely factor in the outcome of the game. But over an 82 season, I'm telling you, most times it's a wash. So Marvin the Martian says, I never get mad at the refs because you can't control how they see it. Jeff Kabili absolutely nails it as well, where he says, refs make mistakes. Ask the pro wrestling fan. That's a great one. I absolutely love that one.
Where's the salt from Mr. Fuji? Where's the salt? Or that's Mr. Saito, the salt. Sorry about that. Mr. Fuji got him with the cane. It was an accident. As long as
it's not purposeful, like the Montreal screw job, which my heart is still broken all these years later. But anyways, those are your K&R hot takes, brought to you by Flame and Comfort, Manitoba's premier supplier of fireplaces, wood stoves, inserts, and everything hearth related. After 50 years heating up your world, Flame and Comfort is soon moving. You'll find it will be one of the most impressive showrooms in Western Canada. You don't need your hot takes to keep that warm feeling inside, folks. You can visit Flame and Comfort. They'll take care of it for you. All right. Where do you want to go right now? Let's talk about the Manitoba boys on the other side of the ice tonight, starting with Reimer.
Well, he's the first star of the game, and it's not close. I mean, so what? He gave up 3. He should have given up 6. 33 saves for Reimer. Many of them are of the highlight reel variety. Even too the last one on Scheifele on the wraparound where he thought it might have been hooking. I mean, that's a smart play by Reimer. I mean, he was. I got a message from Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News, Sean, today at the second intermission. I was mentioning to him how on the play, some people thought that Scheifele missed the net on that empty net chance, but Owen Power laid out and got his stick on it, and that's why the goal was not scored. Mike said, Reimer is the only reason the Sabres have the lead in this game. So, and Mike has seen a lot of Sabres hockey, and he was very clear in his assessment. And say what you want. I mean, the Jets said it after the game to a certain degree. They needed to make life a little bit more difficult for Reimer in terms of the traffic generated in front, but I'm telling you right now, the scoring chances for are 20-5 at 5-on-5, and the high danger chances are 10-0. Now, I will take issue, as I often do, with the plotter. I don't know how the JJ Peterka goal coming off the wall is not a high danger chance. It's from the middle of the slot and it's barred down on the glove side. So I don't know how you can't plot that properly, that it came from the home plate area, Sean. Like that, it's ridiculous. That is a high danger chance under any definition. If you want to say the Dahlin chance came from too far out, no problem. But Peterka's goal is a high danger chance. There's no way about it. And again, there's human error and everything else. But Reimer was great, and what a moment for Tyson Kozak from Souris. I had the opportunity, Sean, to interview him in Buffalo before he made his debut. His folks are at the game. He had a goal that is taken off the board by the Wizard, Matty Prefontaine, on the coach's challenge. The next game he scores. His dad went home, but his mom stayed. So incredible moment for him. He's played. This was his 16th NHL game, and again, Kozak goes to the net, wins the draw, goes to the net, reward. Bam. There you go. Just great job by a youngster who, is an incredibly hard worker. Played for the Portland Winterhawks, 7th round pick, grinding it out in the American Hockey League for the Rochester Americans, gets an opportunity. And this is the way that it goes, Sean. You show a coach why he should put you on the ice on a team that has very little defensive detail other than today. You show the coach that you provide energy, finish your checks, do the little things right. You get in the lineup, right? You get in Lindy Ruff's lineup. So for Kozak, for the folks in the building, and neither one of us was, but you could hear it through the television. There were tons of people from Manitoba, from Souris, from the region that went pretty nuts when Kozak scored a goal. And hey, good on him. That's his second NHL goal, and I thought he showed really well in the game. Limited effort or limited opportunity in his fourth line minutes, but I thought the Kozak was really effective in the game. He gets involved, and he got rewarded with a smart play in the game. What about you? What do you think of the Manitoba contingent?
Well, it feels to me, and I know it just feels that way because we see him here, like that's when we see Reimer, but it's almost like he's scratching and clawing to stay in the league, and he just goes, we saw him in San Jose. You keep seeing him popping up in places where their goalie situation isn't good. He's like that guy who's like, wherever you find a bad goaltender situation where they just need someone to kind of fill the gap a little bit, that's where you find him. And then he pops up in Winnipeg and just absolutely goalies them. Like every single time, it feels like how many times has Reimer been the story when he comes to Winnipeg and does something like this? Guy's got a lot of heart. You got to give him credit. Throughout that game, you could just see how badly he wants it. You can see how much it means to him. I'm almost surprised he's never been picked up as a backup goaltender here, because if you could get those kind of performances out of him consistently, every time he played in front of the home fans, I'd find a way to make him the backup goaltender, but only on home ice games, right? Because the way that he plays is something else. But I've said in the past, I think the Jets, it would be nice if the Jets would pick up some Manitoba kids so you could kind of get that local connection. Because it's so neat when you see it, even with Brock Nelson, like I'd said, when he would come here and his parents always would come in from War Road and he'd always go off on the Jets and I'd be talking with him on Hockey Night in Canada afterwards and he'd be talking about his parents being there. Brady Tkachuk, when he comes rolling into town and he's been hanging out with his cousins and his grandpa the night before, he always seems to go off in Winnipeg. I like those stories. And one of the reasons I like them is because those stories didn't exist for so long for us, Ken, right? Like, they did at the Manitoba Moose level, right? They did in the AHL. But for the longest time, for a good chunk or the early parts of Jonathan Toews' career, you didn't get to see those exploits of him coming rolling into town and be like the local boy makes good kind of thing, right? So when two players like this come in and they go off like this, hey, when Vegas knocked the Jets off in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and Keegan Colasar and the Manitoba guys went off in that game. I hate to say it, it's hard for me not to look at that and just get kind of like, this is hockey, man. Like, guys rolling into their hometown, they're wearing the wrong sweater, but they've got those people who support them up in the crowd, and they're playing for those people. Like, Manitobans should be proud that we're producing players like this. Manitobans should be proud that those Manitobans are going out and representing, and Manitobans should be so happy that we're in a situation that we weren't for so long. I know the Jets have been back for 14 years, but Ken, that part of me in my head will never die. That part of me that saw the Jets leave in 96 and then all of these Manitoba boys and exploits happened somewhere far away, and you read about them in the paper or you saw them on the highlights, being able to see these kind of performances happen and the response in the crowd from their loved ones happen in real time right here in Manitoba. It's just a great situation. It's good.
Yeah, and I mean they talked about it on the broadcast, and Kevin Pratt, the producer, pointing out that there were 24 Manitobans in the NHL right now. Right, at any point there's 700 to 750 players in the league. So I understand that the percentage is lower than some provinces, but 24 Manitobans in the NHL, it's a good number, and hopefully that number continues to rise. But they're great stories. Reimer has carved out a great career for himself. It's funny, Sean. He's had so many. Again, there was the game with San Jose that he had a ton of saves against the Jets. But I mean, Reimer's career record against the Jets. I sent it to somebody. I looked at Hockey Reference. He's 7-11-1 with a .904 save percentage and .333 goals against average in his 22 career games played. Which, again, he played on a lot of bad teams, so you can understand the record and the goals against. But I mean, he's had a couple absolute 5-star 10 bell saves and a 5-star performance out of 5 here, and that's a testament to to him. And but yeah, I mean, it's Keegan Colasar, the photographer captured the great shot. Colasar scores the goal and he bangs up against the glass and finds one of his buddies in the seats, kind of thing. Like Manitobans performing well is something that a lot of Manitobans take pride in, and good on those guys for showing up well in their home province. Because hey, when you play in the Eastern Conference, Sean, you get one crack at it. You get one shot a year playing in your home province. This is Tyson Kozak's first year in the NHL. And, who knows when the next one's going to come? Well, for him, he hopes it's going to come next year. And it's games like this that will help him be a regular, this is a guy trying to fight and claw to be a full-time NHL player. And games like today will help him do that.
Kevin Pratt and you were college roommates, right?
That's correct. At the University of Regina. Yeah, KP,
there you
the
go.
pride of Brandon there, yes.
Well, hey, I got to say, Kevin Pratt, I thought did a really good job visually telling the story of that Mark Scheifele play that I opened the show talking about. Like, you can see the reaction by Samuelson after the penalty is called and how kind of shocked he is. You can see the reaction by the bench. Like, I'll put it this way. For the most part, most guys complain about penalties they get and they go off, but when you see extended reactions like that, there's at least a strong belief on the opposition team that there's a dive happening in that situation. And I thought KP did a really, really good job of telling that story visually.
Just quickly, I have to tell a quick story. So at the University of Regina, they weren't really keen on KP and I pursuing our passion for sports. We had a professor named Jill Spellacy for one interview class. She had a rule. Why would my mother care? My mother doesn't care about sports. So if you can give me a reason for my mother to care about the story you're telling, you can tell the story. So we both tried to put that to use in our careers, and so far it's working out okay for the class of 2000 from the University of Regina.
There you go. Good advice. Okay, let's get into Comrie. What did you take away from his night?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't his best, but it's not like he let in a ton of muffins here, Sean. It was there were bad breakdowns, and it wasn't maybe as sharp. And I'm not here to make excuses for Eric Comrie. He's played well enough, and his numbers have supported him getting the number of starts that he has gotten. And I would say too, Sean, in the last 12 games, not to shift I'll go back to the original question in a second, but I think it's important for Eric Comrie to get at least 3 of these last 12, including today. I actually think he should get 4 starts out of the last 12. That would give Hellebuyck 8 out of 12. It would give Comrie 22 starts. That would give Hellebuyck 60 starts, 1 10-minute relief appearance, plus his 3 games at 4 Nations. I think that's a good number. Now we'll see how it goes, and we know sometimes Hellebuyck likes to play more and things like that. But that's how I see things playing out as the season rolls out here in the last 11. In terms of the game itself, no, I mean, there were times Eric Comrie was put in a tough spot, not because of the opponent, not because of anything else, Sean, but we've seen and been parts of games like this. When your team has the puck the majority of the time, has the bulk of the chances, everything else, when the chances are allowed, they're almost always grade A chances, right? Shorthanded breakaway. The play along the wall is just, not great. It's not defended perfectly, but it's a shot from the slot that goes bar down. The one-timer by Dahlin, sure, you can argue that it's from too far out, but it was a really good play by the Sabres. And so I don't hang this loss on Eric Comrie by any stretch, but he was the second best goalie. There's no argument for that either, right? I mean, in the Sean Reynolds Award, that's James Reimer, and it's James Reimer by a landslide, not because Comrie played terrible, but because Reimer played an exceptional game. So, people can argue and say, oh, well, three goals usually enough for the Jets. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, in this case, if you're hanging this loss on Eric Comrie, I think that's a cop-out. I think this loss gets hung on the Jets' inability to pay particular attention to the detail. Again, not in the volume of lapses in the detail, but in the quality that they allowed, which is why they gave up 4 by a goaltender and 5 in the game, including the empty netter. So again, I don't hang this on Comrie at all. I mean, unless you saw things differently from your vantage.
I don't hang it on Comrie. Savage 09100 says it's a loss on the whole team. I agree with that entirely. To your point, that shorthanded breakaway it's a breakdown. And, I wanted to just touch on that quickly, but you talk about the Jets details. The Jets fell into something in that play, which I typically would have seen from a team or expected from a team like Buffalo. Like, well, I'm there and the guy has to make a really hard pass and it's a sauce pass. And even if he does sauce it, I feel like I have a good chance of knocking it out of the air. And that's what Vilardi tries to do there. But what the details tell you is, no, just get on the guy. Be on that man,
pressure.
Right? And so in that situation, a lot of teams will do that. They'll be like, well, I feel like I'm in the passing lane. And if he makes that pass, good on him. He can have it, right? And that's kind of the attitude that Gabe Vilardi took in that situation there. I don't fault that one on Comrie. The one thing I will say, and people are saying, someone had said in here, they felt that if this was Hellebuyck in, that they would have won. Now, typical Hellebuyck. The last couple of the Hellebuyck games, Hellebuyck seems to be a little bit low, so who knows what you would have got out of him on a night like tonight. But I do agree with that statement, and here's why, Ken. What have I said about Connor Hellebuyck? And one of the things that makes him a truly special goaltender, it's that years ago when the Jets needed him to be a high-volume goaltender, he was a high volume goaltender and he was great. His wins in games where he faces more than 40 shots it's like outstanding what his winning percentage is. But what makes him so special is that now that the team has made it a little bit more of a low event goaltending for him, he's still ready. I didn't think Comrie was ready on that first shot. You know what I mean? Now it's a great shot.
Yeah.
But it's not the closest shot. I just think it was that's a goaltender who hasn't been tested throughout that game. He'd been watching everything go in the other direction. And it's also one of those ones that when you're up, I don't know if it was 10-3 in shots at that point or something. I think it was closer to like 6 or 7-3 or something like that. But when the play's been entirely in the other end, and all of a sudden you're allowing a shot by you like that, that has the tendency to sink teams. The Jets shouldn't be the kind of team that gets sunk by that, because the Jets seem to be able to blow past those kind of things, play the game the right way, all the reasons we've talked about over and over on this podcast. But I don't know that puck gets by Connor Hellebuyck. And then the other one is the Rasmus Dahlin shot from the point. Now it's a boomer, and it's a great shot, and it's right in the right spot. But Ken, can you think of an example where just the defenseman from the point, no one in between them, gets a shot and puts it past Connor Hellebuyck like that? I can't think of one this year.
No, I mean, the Skinner goal is close. It's not from a defenseman, but I mean, we just saw it, the game against the Oilers. That's a wrister from just inside the blue line. So similar spot on the play. So it wasn't from a defenseman. It didn't go side to side, but yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, definitely. And again, I'm with you 100%. It just, Connor Hellebuyck gets a lot more opportunities to play in those type of games. So I'm just saying, again, I'm not making excuses, but for the backup, I think it is a tough situation to not have a high volume game because you're not bored, but you haven't had a lot of work. So,
the point is he's not Connor Hellebuyck, right?
Sure.
Like, you can expect this to happen to a goaltender like that, because this is what most goaltenders struggle with. Like, it's hard to wake. Hey, it's the exact same thing we were talking about in the last game in the overtime. Cold goaltender goes in, and if you take a look at that shot by Kyle Connor that goes past him, the goaltender, like, hey, I'm not taking anything away from the shot that Kyle Connor throws out there, but the goaltender looks terrible on that shot, right? And he's cold. He goes in. It's not that he's not expecting it, but he's cold. And that's, most goaltenders are affected by that. Most goaltenders get cold when they don't see shot volume. Hey, you'll see a guy like Reimer got a lot of shot volume today. He's a guy, especially against the Jets in the past, who's really thrived on shot volume. I don't know how good he'd be behind a team that all, went out and outshot the other team 10-3, but all of a sudden there's a shot in the slot. Is he going to make that? I don't know. I don't know enough about his game. I just know that's a challenge for goaltenders. It's what makes Connor Hellebuyck special, and it's one of the reasons why I do believe that this is a game that the Jets, as much as I don't like the way they played tonight, or today, I think that they would have come away with a victory had it been Connor Hellebuyck in that. Anyways, it's been called for. I don't know if it's been called for in the chat room, but Ken, in a private message, has called for the headband. So who am I to turn down the guy with the best music in the business? So I'll play a little bit of my music, which I think is some of the best music in the business. Let's make this a Sean's headband version of the Kenny and Renny Show. Ken, I wanted to backtrack a little bit, if you would be willing to indulge me, or he doesn't. Do you have your earphones in? Can you hear me? No, he's going to.
Yes, I can. Yeah, no, okay. I can hear you.
I wanted to backtrack because we didn't touch on it, and as soon as the show was over, I kind of kicked myself. But after that last one, there was a little bit of a furor over it afterwards. But I wanted to get your take on the Josh Morrissey play that took Connor McDavid out of the Edmonton Oilers game.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't get a good enough look at it. I know some folks were up in arms, but sneaky cross-check, some people say. I mean, Connor's been dealing with this since last playoff, so I'm not out here saying that, we know that Josh Morrissey is not a dirty player. So, and they're buddies, and they played together on the World Juniors, and they played together for Canada. what I can guarantee you is that Josh Morrissey was not trying to injure Connor McDavid. So I don't have a whole. I'm not up in arms over it. I saw a couple tweets. I don't really have much of an opinion. What about you?
Well, I'm not really. I'm not really sure how I feel about these because from the outside, if you're, if you're not a fan of the Winnipeg Jets, if you're a fan of the Minnesota Wild or the Edmonton Oilers or whatever, there keeps being these situations that the Jets play in where, like, if you are just being as matter of fact as you can be, Josh Morrissey gives a sneaky little cross check to Connor McDavid and takes him out of the game. Right. And so it would be factual for someone out of Edmonton to say Josh Morrissey cross-checked Connor McDavid. The puck wasn't anywhere around them, and now he's out of the game. Now, you can make the opinion that you think it's a cheap play. I think if you're a Jets fan, and to your point, I don't think that that Josh Morrissey is a cheap player. But there's starting to be a lot of these situations add up with the Winnipeg Jets where, it was Brendan Dillon a couple of years or a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever that was. Now it's Josh Morrissey and it was Logan Stanley before that. All these little plays that keep taking star players out. And I wonder, Ken, and it's funny, I had a great conversation with Brendan Dillon. I got to talk to you about that off camera when I was down in Jersey, but I, a conversation with him about that whole thing that kind of went down last year. And he'd said the whole thing, like his response to what he did when he cross-checked Kaprizov was he would be he said, if I was on the other team, I would have come over to me and I would have been like, look, you messed with our guy. Sorry, Scheif, but you're getting it. Mark Scheifele's getting it because you don't touch our guy, right? And I just wonder, and the old school hockey player in me wonders if the Jets are living in this new world where they just somehow keep taking star players out off the other team because they're getting a piece of them when you just weren't allowed to get pieces of star players back in the day. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't, like, to your point, I think they're just playing hockey the way the new rules are played. And these situations just keep happening, but I guess put it this way, Mason Appleton takes a hit from Alexei Romanov against the New York Islanders, right? And he takes a hit, and after the game, the captain of the team, Adam Lowry, goes out and he says, look, it's not a bad hit, but I didn't like it. So they've got every reason to throw that hit. I've got every reason to go and say, I don't like that. And I just wonder if the lack of people saying, I don't like that, makes hockey players feel a little more free, or maybe even the Adam Lowry effect with the Winnipeg Jets makes the Jets feel free enough to kind of take those little shots at star players. And now those little shots end up in kind of problematic situations. Like if you're a Jets fan right now, I know exactly what you're saying. Oh, I didn't mean it, all this kind of stuff. But you have to admit, if you are a fan of the other teams on these other teams, you probably kind of hate the Jets because they keep breaking star players over and over again with these plays that are, hey, we didn't mean to do it, and yet it keeps happening, right? So the crowd of people who think that it should be an eye for an eye, and if you hurt a star player, you should be out for as many games. Those kind of people are going to be looking at the Jets and they're going to want blood. I don't think the Jets are doing it on purpose, but I go back to something we've talked about on this show before. I think the league is not a better place with Connor McDavid missing right now. It wasn't a better place with Kaprizov going out. It's not a better place with Kyle Connor getting kneed last year and getting knocked out of the lineup. I just think that there's got to be a hands off the Stars kind of mindset returning to the NHL. I don't know how you get back there, but I mean, when you go and you cross-check a guy in the ribs in that spot, that can potentially happen. I don't think Josh Morrissey did it on purpose, but he did it, and the best player in hockey is out now.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm not. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion. Like I said, I want all star players playing all the time as well, for sure. all I'm saying is that, I mean, to your point about Lowry, I mean, Lowry didn't go after us. He went after whoever wanted to go. And, in that case, it was Anders Lee. He didn't go after a small star player and saying, you're going to have to pay for that.
I'm not
I
saying
know they're different situations. I know, but I just don't.
That was a different thing. That was the Brendan Dillon. That's how Brendan Dillon said that he would handle it if he was on the other side. Sure. His own Kaprizov situation. I'm not saying someone needs to run out and fight Josh Morrissey. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying maybe that doesn't happen to the Jets as much because Adam Lowry has kind of made it pretty clear in the league. You don't even go after Mason Appleton, never mind Kyle Connor or Josh Morrissey or whoever.
For sure. I just think too, I mean, like McDavid didn't play for the third. I mean, if the Oilers were that mad about it, I think somebody would have found Josh Morrissey today. Like what we saw today. I mean,
don't you have a problem with the Oilers not having a problem with it though, Ken?
Well, I just didn't think it was that dirty of a play though. So, and they know
that he's not a dirty player. Does it have to be? Does it have to be?
It's all, it's relative, I guess. I mean,
let me make it clear. I'm not asking for like them to mete out a pound of flesh for Josh Morrissey, but I don't think I'm okay if it's the Winnipeg Jets and that situation happens to Mark Scheifele with the Jets not doing something about it. And to be honest with you, I would be blown away if Adam Lowry didn't do something about it. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you be like absolutely astounded if that had happened to Mark Scheifele and Adam Lowry didn't do something about it?
I guess. I mean, we also have praised the Jets for their ability to put it in the memory bank and move on and not chase around guys all game long. Like today's a good example. I think you're with me. I thought it was a very good hit by Connor Clifton on Nino Niederreiter. Unfortunate result for Niederreiter. I mean, Luke Shen took a run at Clifton in the next shift to start the period, but the Jets didn't chase after Clifton the entire game, which was smart of them, I thought. I mean, I think that he kind of got the message that we didn't love it, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't think anything else was required, but again, I know this is not a cross check versus a hit. I get that. I just didn't see a lot of, I don't know. I didn't see a big problem with it, but sure. I mean, that's how Adam Lowry is. He responds, but I mean, I don't think the Oilers really have an Adam Lowry on their team, with all due respect to the Oilers team that made Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. They've got lots of guys that are big and strong, but that's what I say. I just don't think if the Oilers had a problem with it, I think they would have done something about it.
Anyways,
and again, I think that the cross check caused the groin issue. I think you just put that thing up. I don't think that Josh broke his ribs or anything. I think this is an issue where McDavid's been dealing with the groin problem dating back to last year. And again, unfortunate result. But I mean, Josh knows that he has to get a stick or a body on McDavid whenever he's out against him. And quite frankly, the Jets did a great job against him defensively in that game when he was in the game. So
it's always so hard to get like through when you're talking to fans about stuff like this. Alex99 says, "Come on, Renny, the hit on McDavid was weak." I never said that it was a strong hit. Like, you're entirely missing the point. The point about it is like star players and trying to maintain your space around them. This is the conversation that we're having here. And whether it's the league's responsibility to do that or the player's responsibility to do that, like I've made it pretty clear here. I don't think Josh went out to try and injure the guy. It's not a situation like that. Like take off the aviator blue glasses for a second and just like understand the conversation that's happening here. I'm not trying to admonish Jets players for doing something. I'm trying to understand how teams respond to this, or how they should, or even if they should. That's the conversation that's been having here. Anyways, I will say this, Ken, I need you to give a shout out to Sweet Lou before we do move on.
Yeah, right on. For folks who have realty needs you'd like to have met, buying, selling, curious what the house on the corner may be selling for, contact our main man, Lou Ferlin at Royal LePage Dynamic Realty, 204-791-9971, or at the office, 204-989-5000. His email is lou@louferlin.ca. That's LOU at LOUFURLAN.ca. Lou Ferlin, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, including our podcast.
And I'll say this, I think it would really pay off for a lot of folks if, instead of trying to twist what is being said by us on this podcast to kind of fit a narrative that you get upset about. You just actually listen to what we're saying. It's okay to have the conversation. We're not attacking your players, or if you disagree, you don't need to try and characterize what we're saying as something that it's not in order to I don't know, feel like you're winning an argument or whatever is happening there. But it would pay off if you just kind of understand what we're trying to say here in this situation. Hey, if you're looking to pay off high interest credit cards or debt, we suggest you go talk to our friends at Comrie Credit Union about their payoff loan. They can show you how taking out a loan to pay off your debt actually gets you debt free faster, and you can save thousands of dollars. Go to cambrian.mb.ca to book an appointment online. All right, Ken, do you want to get into the awards?
Just quickly, some people in the chat room are saying, oh, we're not talking about Josh Morrissey because he was -4 today. I mean, do I think it was Josh's best game? No, but I mean, now it's convenient to talk about plus minus. It's a bad stat unless it's, again, being on the ice for 4 goals against, never a great thing. One of those goals is an empty netter. Another one is a time where he made the right play going to the boards to pressure the player where someone didn't get back in time. The other play was on a subtle pick. I mean, it wasn't Josh's man that scored when Peterka scored. So you look at -4, you think, oh, he must have had a bad game. I don't think Josh had his best game, but I also don't think he was out there struggling out there either. So anyways, this isn't somebody likes some player better than another player. And, if it was Logan Stanley, we'd be saying he should be out of the league. No, I mean, I think this is one of the examples where plus minus is not the best stat. It has some value. We often talk about it. If you're a plus a bunch or minus a bunch, it means you're either on the ice for a lot of goals for or on a lot of goals against. But again, I don't think Josh was at his best, but I also don't think he was out there struggling and costing the Jets the game today. So if he were at fault for some of those goals, we'd be happy to point it out. But anyways, I don't think we need to defend ourselves, but I think this isn't a situation where we're trying to hide Josh or spare his feelings, because if he makes a mistake, he knows it more than anyone else does here.
Well, beyond that, the place that we consistently fall down on this podcast, to be like critical of us doing this show, the place we consistently fall down is we rarely talk about Josh Morrissey when he's a factor in almost every single game in the positive direction for the Winnipeg Jets, because it's like, how many times can you just say, this guy's amazing and he does amazing things and he did amazing things tonight and here we go, right? Like it's the same thing playing out. So it's almost because he's raised his standards so high, it's hard to talk about him unless the standard that he achieves in that game is beyond crazy. So, even if you are trying to fault Josh Morrissey for what happened in this game tonight, if you're trying to point out that we didn't talk about it because we're trying to hide from the guy, we owe Josh a lot more credit than we've given him in this space, in this show, than we do like taking anything away from him. That's one area where I think we consistently fall down and could do a lot better. Okay, Ken, Johnson Group got you covered. Play of the game. What do you got?
Oddly enough, for the folks who didn't like Josh's game, I'm actually choosing the Josh Morrissey stick lift on the back check. As the got you covered play of the game. It was a situation where it was going to be a clear backdoor tap in. I sent you the name of the player he lifted the stick on, but I don't have it currently. So anyways, it was in the second period, and a really smart play by Morrissey. That was actually
I'll go with that. Why, folks? Because the fix is in on Josh Morrissey, as has just been pointed out. So, hey, do you run a small business?
Sorry, it's on Peterka. JJ Peterka.
Yeah.
Backdoor tap.
Who is a bright spot in that season
for sure
for them, eh? Like, what a player he's turning out to be. Anyways, you run a small business in Canada, look to Canada's #1 employee benefits plan, Chambers Plan, to give you a competitive edge. Chambers Plan is the simple, stable, smart choice for over 30,000 businesses countrywide. Visit chamberplan.ca to learn more. That is the Kenny and Renny OGs. The Johnson Group got you covered play of the game, which brings us to the keg save of the game. Ken, what are you thinking?
Oh, it's got to be one of the Reimer saves. I'd written down honorable mention Comrie on Ryan McLeod, but it's got to be James Reimer with an assist from Owen Power for the empty net save, even though Reimer had plenty of his own. But I just think that at the time of the game, it would have sort of swung the tables for the Jets. So James Reimer thanking Owen Power in front of him for the save. I'm going to go with that one.
Well, I'll say this. I thought it was the cross ice pass on the power play
Yeah, yeah.
right before they score that Mark Scheifele takes the one-timer,
Mm-hmm.
because he goes over and he finds it. Like, there's no assist from the defenseman. But the other part about that is, as I was watching that and I've talked, I thought it was going to be another time that we were talking about the Jets power play and how it gets smarter as the game goes on, even though they scored on their first power play opportunity. That top unit was not kind of opening things up, and they'd really locked things down for them. And then what I noticed was they changed where they had that player in the slot to kind of force that defenseman to commit and open up that lane to Scheifele. And before he makes that pass to Scheifele, I saw it open up and I thought, okay, there it is. Everything they've done, their coach has talked to them about it. They've drawn it up on the board. They've shown them where they're going with it. The Winnipeg Jets evolved that power play mid-game, and that was the goal right there. Tie game after that. They're probably going to overtime. We know what the Jets do in overtime against teams like that. And we're talking about the Jets having 2 points, another example of their resilience, even though they didn't have their fastball and all this kind of stuff. To me, that is is where the game completely and totally changed in the favor of the Buffalo Sabres. So that is my hashtag.
And even the stuff save on Velarde right after that, right? I mean, he walked out. I mean, 2 really good saves in that sequence.
Yes. Anyways, that's mine and Ken's hashtag, the keg save of the game. You share with us your hashtag, the keg save of the game, and you will be automatically entered to win a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg, each location finer than the last. And that brings us to our winner from our last show, and that would be D. Chiplin. D. Chiplin. You know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your full name. Send me an email. I will have the fine folks at the keg send you a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg. Each location finer than the last. Ken, you got a bird chirping in the background there.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty time in Arizona.
We're used to getting chirped on this show, but it usually comes from the chat room, not from the back of the garage.
That's true. Yes.
Let's see if we'll chirp our picks for the TCB Lamplighter of the game. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, honorable mention, Clap City from Nikolai Ehlers. But as you mentioned, I mean, that's a goal that in that situation of the game, there's got to be more pressure applied either in the neutral zone or by the defenseman. I think Owen Power backed up a little bit too much on that one. So I can't in good conscience go with that, even though, I'm a big fan of the back scratcher in a Clap City. But I'm going with the local lad, Tyson Kozak's goal for me as the lamplighter. Again, great story, 7th round draft pick, incredible hard worker. The service product works himself into the lineup and comes through against the team that denied him his first NHL goal with the successful coach's challenge. So I'm going with the Kozak special on this one.
Yeah, revenge against Matty Prefontaine there, right? Who stole away his first ever NHL goal against the team he grew up. He grew up a Jets fan, didn't he? Rooting for the Jets?
Pretty young. I mean, I might have been too young to be a Jets fan growing up. I think he would have been. I mean, the team left in '96, right? I mean, I don't know. I think I'm gonna stick with my gut here. Yeah, Tyson Kozak was born in 2002, so I don't think he would have been a Jets fan growing up. He could have been a fan of the 2.0 team. Sorry, yes, 2.0.
Yeah. He would have been 10 years old. Anyway, I guess we shouldn't be bringing up things if we can't confirm it. I'm going to go double that. Like I said, I mean, it's in a way a repeatable goal, right? Like just getting it to the front of the net. They've got bodies in front of the net there in between. This is another one where the Jets usually have this is the details I thought the Jets were missing on. They usually have guys like that boxed out. I don't know how many times there's been a rebound with a opposition player just that wide open, no one around to bury him, just like an easy put it in the back of the net and celebrate. That doesn't happen too often against the Winnipeg Jets. So the Jets were off, but it's a repeatable goal and a good story behind it. So I'll go with that as well. That's Ken's and my TCB Lamplighters of the game. Share with us yours. You're automatically entered to win a frosty, delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. If you can't wait for Kenny and Renny to gift you your 8-pack, head on down to their tap room at 11290 Keniston, where they've got all different kind of beers in the store there. Lots on tap, great food and a great environment. You will enjoy yourself if you get down there. So make sure you do. And that brings us to our winner from the last TCB Lamplighter from our last show. And that would be T-Shoe, you know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your name, send me an email, and I will send you a voucher for a frosty, delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at Transcanada Brewing Company. As T-Shoe is about to find out, which I think he's found out before. I think in the last couple of years he's been a Lamplighter.
He's been to a few shows.
It is the nectar of the gods. Big game coming up here, Ken. Now, we can't say it's a showdown for first place because with a game in hand and 2 points up, even if the Jets do win that game against the Capitals will leave Winnipeg in first place. But an absolute banger. I was really hoping, Ken, when I was getting ready to go on air for the Ottawa, New Jersey Devils game, and I saw that the score was 6-2 at the time for the Washington Capitals, that there was going to be 2 or 3 OV goals in there and not one. So I will be one of the most interested people on the OV watch in the building tomorrow, because if he scores,
get your laundry done, buddy.
The road with him heading down to Minnesota, which is their next game, and then they're off to Washington. But one more goal triggers Renny into action here, so it's going to be a good one to check out. Anything to say before we go, Ken?
And sorry, just for Kozak, Southwest Cougars, member of their program growing up, AAA. So again, we're highlighting the Manitobans here. We should give a shout out to the Southwest Cougars. So good on them there. Should be a really fun game. We're going to both be in the building, rocking some good Vittorio Rossi suits. Great to be back. It's been a lot of fun. Feeling recharged and ready. Get your laundry done just in case you're heading onwards to the road. Big birthday for chat follower and friend Marshall Patterson today also. So big Marshall. We just saw he got into the chat room here. So
I texted him directly. I didn't want to do it through all these people because my acts of service aren't performative like yours.
Buddy, ask him who texted first. Go ahead. Please do.
We'll see.
We'll check the we're going to check the receipts on that.
I was up pretty early this
Maybe
morning.
You got me.
I was on the Eastern Seaboard, so I think I had the advantage. So if you did,
you probably did.
You really.
I did get a preemptive strike in last night, so if we are actually checking the receipts, but you got today's though. It's like kind of like 1-1. It's kind of like 1-1.
Yeah,
let's go with that. You probably got the. I'll just give you the nod. How about that? It's easier if I give you the nod because you've been carrying the mail.
I could use a win. That's what you really want to say. I've taken too many L's. I could use the win. That's what you're trying to say.
Buddy, can't wait for Tuesday. Always a treat. There won't be any record breaking, I don't think, but should be a fun evening on a lot of fronts. And it's this. We love doing the show. It's been lots of fun. Folks have been still staying and following around. Good turnout today, despite a loss for the Jets. So good on you, folks. 11 more to go here, and then the fun will really begin. But it's been a fun year. So, Jeff Kabilis. Also
up.
Happy birthday to. He had one last Friday. Last Friday. Yeah. Okay. So happy birthday to you. Kabilis. Another March baby out there. So good stuff. Going to be fun.
We were talking about Renny needing a win. He actually got one today. I landed from Toronto to find out that my daughter's team, Reynolds, won the B-side in their first year in Interclub. They beat
well done, girls. Good job.
Curling rink, 4 boys. There are 4 girls. The boys older than them. They went in their first year in Interclub and take away the B-side trophy, which was a big trophy. And I got to say, very, very proud of the girls. It was
awesome job.
It was a tough year for them. There was a lot of learning lessons in there, and I always tell them there's no such thing as losing, only learning. And for a lot of the year, there was a lot of learning going on. Really proud of the way they kind of stuck with it, have battled through. They went down 3-0 in the game, and I think they ended up winning it 7-6. So
awesome stuff.
Very proud of them. They've got more resilience than their dad, that's for sure. So good on them. You've had resilience to put up with the two of us here today, chat room. So thank you so much for that. We always appreciate the time you choose to spend with us, and can't wait to choose for you to spend more with us coming up after that game against the Washington Capitals. It's going to be a gooder. But before I do let everyone go here, I do want to say, if you appreciate the conversation happening in this space, we hope and implore you to appreciate the contribution made by our sponsors who fight to keep the conversation going in this space. For us, that's Vittorio Rossi, Rossi, Cambrian Credit Union, Pristine Roofing, Sweet Lou Furlan, Flame and Comfort, the Johnson Group, the Kenny and Renny OGs, TransCanada Brewing Company, of course, the Keg. Thank you to them. Thank you to all of you. We can't wait to talk to you again on Tuesday, folks. Bye-bye.